This book is called The White Tiger, and it's written by a man called Aravind Adiga. It's about an Indian entrepreneur called Balram and his life story. He tells the Chinese Prime Minister Mr. Jabao about his life story and how he starts at the lowest of India and work all his way to the top. He starts in what they call the darkness, and that is the poorest part of India. And he starts there, and one day he decides to go to a bigger city to earn money to his family. And he gets a job as a personal driver to this man called Mr. Ashok. And one day he gets tired of always being told what to do, and he wants to do something on his own. So he decides to kill Mr. Ashok and take some of Mr. Ashok's money. And then he runs off to Delhi with his nephew, and he starts his own little taxi company there. And he calls it the White Tiger Company. And the reason why he's called the White Tiger is because when he lived in the darkness in the little city called Laxmangar, his teacher named him the White Tiger, because the white tiger is a very rare kind of animal, and his teacher thought that Balram is a very rare kind of person. So we follow Balram through his life, making these very different decisions. He has to abandon his family to get on the top, and that's basically what this book is about. The dreams of the rich and the dreams of the poor, they never overlap, do they? See, the poor dream all their lives of getting enough to eat and looking like the rich. And what do the rich dream of? Losing weight and looking like the poor. Every evening the compound around Buckingham Tower's B block becomes an exercise ground. Plump, paunchy men, and even plumper, paunchier women, with big circles of sweat below their arms, are doing their evening walking. See, with all these late-night parties, all that drinking and munching, the rich tend to get fat in Delhi, so they walk to lose weight. Now, where should a human being walk? In the outdoors? By a river? Inside a park? Around a forest? However, displaying their usual genius for town planning, the rich of Delhi had built this part of Jugaon with no parks, lawns, or playgrounds. It was just buildings, shopping malls, hotels, and more buildings. There was a pavement outside, but that was for the poor to live on. So, if you wanted to do some walking, it had to be done around the concrete compound of your own building. Now, while they walk around the apartment blocks, the fattos made their thin servants, most of them drivers, stand at various spots on that circle with bottles of mineral water and fresh towels in their hands. Vitiligo Lips was standing in one corner of the compound with his bottle and his master's sweaty towel. Every few minutes he turned to me with a twinkle in his eyes. His boss, the steel man, who was bald until 2 weeks ago, now sported a head of a thick black hair. An expensive toupee job he had gone all the way to England for. This toupee was the main subject of discussion in the monkey circle these days. The other drivers had offered Vitiligo Lips 10 rupees to resort the old tricks of braking unacceptably or taking the car full speed over a pothole to knock off his master's toupee at least once. The secret of their masters was spilled and dissected every evening by the monkey circle. Though, if any of them made the divorce a topic of discussion, he knew he would have to deal with me. On Mr. Ashok's privacy, I allowed no one to infringe. I was standing just a few feet from Vitiligo Lips, with my master's bottle of mineral water in my hand and his sweat-stained towel on my shoulder. Mr. Ashok was about to complete his circle. I could smell his sweat coming towards me. This was around number 3 for him. He took the bottle, drained it, wiped his face with his towel, and draped it back on my shoulder. I'm done, Balaram. Bring the towel and bottle up, okay? Yes, sir, I said, and watched him go into the apartment block. He took a walk once or twice a week, but it clearly wasn't enough to counter his night of departure. I saw a big, wet punch pressing against the white t-shirt. How repulsive he was these days. I signaled to Vigilago Lips before going down to the car park. 10 minutes later, I smelled the steel man's sweat and heard footsteps. Vigilago Lips had come down. I called him over to the Honda City. It was the only place in the world I felt fully safe anymore. What is it, country mouse? Want another magazine? Not that, something else. I got down on my haunches. I squatted by one of the tires of the city. I scraped the grooves of the tire with a fingernail. He squatted too. I showed him the strand of golden hair. I kept it tied around my wrist like a locket. He brought my wrist to his nose. He rubbed the strand between his finger and sniffed it and let me my wrist down. No problem, he winked. I told you your master would get lonely. Don't talk about him. I seized his neck. He shook me off. Are you crazy? You tried to choke me. I scraped the grooves of the tire again. How much will it cost? High class or low class? Virgin or non-virgin? All depends.